faces, my body, head, and soul. Many miles away, I could start a perfect story. Find myself and find out glory. This deceptive world, giving me the sign, giving me the sign. Giving me the sign, giving me the sign.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Queens podcast, where we explore the female characters in sci-fi television shows, movies, books, game, art, anywhere female characters are depicted. If you are new to our channel, we welcome you, and we ask that you hit that subscribe and notification bell so that you know when our next shows are up, and it'll really help our channel grow. If you want to support our channel, please check out our website that has bios. Our merch store is linked to it. It's growing and looking pretty good. And I'm your host, Nita, and with me tonight is my co-host, Sarah, the Queen of Darkness, and our special guest, Nicole, Battle Queen's cousin.
Yeah.
Tiffany will be on a little bit later. As you know, she's got some little ones she's got to take care of first. But let's start by finding out how our guest is doing. Nicole, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to this all week. So looking forward to talking about this movie.
Awesome. And how about you, Queen of Darkness? What's going on with you?
I'm kid free for the weekend, so I'm doing great.
Little Queen
Grandparents
is
are
not gonna
great.
be home.
Yeah, not till Sunday. Woohoo!
Mm-mm.
But I'm just gonna sit around and play video games. But hey, you know what? That's okay.
That's
okay.
all good. That's all good.
Yep.
It worked for us. That's definitely worked for us.
Mhm.
So we're going to be reviewing tonight an Amazon Prime movie called Archive, selected by our very own Queen of Darkness, Sarah. And I gotta say, Sarah, it has been a hit after hit after hit. So let's talk about this movie and start out with Stacey Martin, which is the voice of J2.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk a little bit about the movie. Since you picked the movie, Sarah, give us a synopsis of this movie.
He's a robotics creator trying to create an AI that will fully sustain a humanoid robot, but it's his journey with the struggles of it. Has a wicked twist at the end. But it's very, kind of has that espionage feel. I mean, it's very just him. Most of the movie, there's a few appearances by other people, but I did not mind it. I kind of liked it, and there was a lot of technical stuff in it. I mean, you saw him building the robots and programming them, and a lot of the how a programmer you run the compiler and you're waiting to see if the program's gonna run or not, and that there was a lot of that's sitting around and waiting. And
yeah, we're gonna talk about that twist at the end a little bit later for sure.
I'm trying not to give it away.
AI kind of movie.
Yeah, he's trying to program an AI. And it's both. He's trying to make the robot so that the robot can be self-sustaining and be functional, but then he can put the AI in it so it's independent and it can function on its own.
Absolutely.
And there was one of the things I liked was the iterations, and I don't know if you caught that, but the AI that he put in J1, she stopped learning at age 5. So she was just like a little kid. And then this one stopped learning around age 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was her maturity. That's why she acted like a bratty teenager. And she was, all the things that come with that, the moodiness, the mischievousness, the jealousy, all of that. And I was like, she's definitely a teenager. I mean, as a mom, I could see that. But like the other one, and then the J3, mean, obviously she was the most advanced of the prototypes,
Let's not get ahead of
but
ourselves, though. Let's not get ahead of
no, I
ourselves.
know,
Let's focus
but
on J2.
J
Um,
two, but she, I think it was just her and him for a long time, and she took care of the little sister J1, and because she was basically like a special needs kid. That I mean,
yeah,
they still wanted her
almost.
around, and she could still do stuff, but she couldn't do some things like she'd get stuck in corners because that was just the way that the robot was designed. Um, it and there was some empathy there, but I don't know it was it kind of took me along the lines of the way I kind of feel about AI, that the things that it highlighted the things that I worry about.
Okay.
Um,
Let's
you
not get
know,
ahead of ourselves. Let's not get
okay,
ahead of
so good.
ourselves. Because I want to just kind of do a little bit at a time and kind of
Okay.
get there. Because then we won't have anything to talk about later. um, but Nicole, talk to me about J2 and your perception of J2. You work with children, so your perception is quite interesting, and your perspective is interesting because you are a parent coach. So talk to me about his interaction with her and what you thought of it.
So that's funny because I didn't see it as a teenager, but now that Sarah said that, I'm like, oh yeah, um, I can see that. When I was watching it, I just saw it as there was just certain aspects of her maturity that just hadn't progressed, and I just saw her, and at the risk of getting ahead of ourselves, I know you don't want us to do that, but at the risk of getting ahead of ourselves, I just saw her as the jealous lover, like, oh,
Mhm,
like afraid of
Hmm.
being replaced,
We could
like,
definitely
mhm.
talk about that because that's all about J2. Yes, let's
yeah,
Yeah,
get into that
yeah.
jealous lover mentality. Talk to
So
me.
yeah,
I just felt like she was okay with J1 because, like Sarah said, you can't fulfill his needs. Like, I'll take care of you because
yeah.
okay, but I felt a sense of her becoming sentient. Like,
Hmm.
we're going to, you're gonna, I'm gonna be your partner. You're gonna be my man. I'm gonna be your lady. We're gonna live
Hmm.
this
Yeah,
life,
Yeah.
and
And I think that she
that's
expressed it too when she says, "Why can't you improve on me?"
on me,
right.
right?
It's just like,
Exactly.
and
What?
And
especially when the betrayal of when he took her legs, and she's like, "Give me my legs back!" Like, what the
oh my
hell?
god! But
Yes.
that speaks to what I was gonna say next too. He kind of fed into her jealousy too, because how dare you take from me to give to her? Like, like you're literally taking from me, like of me to give to her, and that's where I feel like she was becoming sentient, if not just emotionally sentient, because
Hmm.
like, what robot would care if you take their legs? But she was just
Mhm.
so incensed that you took my legs and gave them to her. Like, how dare you?
So
And
Yeah.
here's the question. Did he understand that she had become sentient to some degree?
no, he didn't.
I
I don't
I
think
don't
he
think
did.
yeah I don't think he realized
Agreed. Hmm.
how far she had progressed. He still kind of treated her like a little bit younger. Didn't you know
Yes,
didn't realize that she developed some of those things, and like some of the mischievous things that she did, like when he was sleeping or when he was out. That kind
right,
of like I was like, oh, what a bitch.
right.
Like when she well,
So
like she went and
conniving.
she
Yeah,
she purposely, like, you're watching the mask get made, and then she sticks her hand in the gel and like smashes it. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, go
right,
to your room, girl. I mean,
Hmm.
right.
seriously, that was my thought as a parent. I'm like, go to your room. But I mean, I can also understand being jealous and watching I don't know if I mean, I don't know if I could handle that. Watching my replacement being built part by part. That, and then, like what Nicole said, like, and then taking from you, it's almost kind of has that Frankenstein feel. I mean, it's robots and stuff, but it
Yes,
kind of
Yes.
has that. It
but
kind of has
yes,
that,
Modern day
and
Frankenstein.
and the
yes,
body autonomy, that that's her body,
yes,
and then he, she was bratty, so he put her in timeout and turned her off. And then she wakes up and she ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan. It's like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Uh,
And then, and at the risk of making, like, I don't want to make this a man and a woman thing, but it is like, I don't think that, like, as a man he understood that, like, as
Agreed.
a man, but also as a scientist, he's just like, yo, you're one robot.
you
I'm
had a
trying
you
to.
had a part I need. Yeah,
Right, you
yeah,
have like, it's just very
Yeah.
scientific for him, and it was just very
Yeah.
one
I think
minded
he
for
needed
him.
that female sensitivity that would have given him the awareness of how sentient she had become. Because robot can say whatever it wants, it doesn't make it sentient. It makes it
yeah.
adaptable and learning, right?
Right.
Right.
But this was deeper for her, and I think a woman
Yeah,
might have been a bit more sensitive
To
to her
pick that
need,
up.
yeah,
because
Mm,
I think that his brain was fully science,
yeah.
like Nicole was saying. And I think that a woman would have been able to manage both the science and the emotion
Right.
in this situation. And
agreed.
it's just because we're built to feel in that way,
Yeah.
and
Agreed.
I
Well,
absolutely agree with both of you, because yeah, she was definitely a jealous lover behavior. She was given jealous lover behavior for sure. And
mhm.
that fascinated me, because and I remember watching it with Nicole and going, what the hell? Because this was just developing in front of him, and he was not reacting the
He was
way I
clueless. He was
heard
so
him.
he was so
Clueless.
single-mindedly on his other task of,
Yes.
bringing his wife back and dumping her in this
Hmm.
in this AI body this robotic body, that he,
Yep.
like, he was kind of like had blinders on to, like, what
Hyper
was
focus.
really developing, to the AI developing around him and becoming sentient. He just wanted a system that could handle the emotions, and, like, that was what he wanted, but he didn't realize that, like,
Yes.
it had
Right.
its own
Right.
personality. You can't just graft another personality on it and call it good. Like,
Yes.
Right. And
But before we go forward, how
uh
amazing was Stacey Martin as the voice of J2? She was
um,
so robotic. Like, she was
yes,
given robot.
yeah, she was giving robot, but she was also she did it enough that you don't forget she's a robot, but you get that emotion
Yes.
behind it.
Hmm.
So it's like,
hmm
it was
She nailed it.
like, yeah, absolutely, she loved it.
Yep.
well, and
And
even when we went to the little sister, like, with her beeps and her boops, like, I started to understand what she was saying. Like, when she came in, she asked for help because J2 had fallen, and
Hmm.
mhm.
it's like I understood what was going on. Apparently, he's got something to say.
Yeah, he liked the movie too. But we're gonna go forward to our next character, which again Stacey Martin did the voice for of J3. And she played, I think, more than just the voice. I think that this was full on makeup on her. She was
Yeah.
so human like in this form, even
Hmm.
before the wig came on. Before looking like, something out of Game of Thrones, like a Targaryen. She
Yeah.
was fantastic. Nicole, talk to me about her relationship with the main character. Talk to me about how you felt about Stacey Martin's performance. Talk to me.
I think, well, first of all, her performance was fantastic. I think, again, we never forgot that she was a robot, but at the same time, the emotions were there, the confusion was there, um and so it was like this emotional journey of a robot, which was
hmm
ironic, right? um
Yeah.
but then, we also get, just from the very beginning, from when she comes online and starts to try to figure out, like, what what's going on, and then once the memory starts to come back, and
The
that
screaming.
confusion.
Yeah. She
Yeah,
woke up
oh my
screaming.
God. But at the same, so when I was watching it, I was like, what the hell is it with this screaming? But then, if you, like, take yourself out of it, like, imagine being turned on, literally, like flipping the switch, and you have all these memories bombarding you that are not yours.
Hmm.
Right.
And
And and she didn't have legs. She wasn't complete. She couldn't fully move. So,
Right.
can you imagine being maybe like a paraplegic and then being flipped on and like
Mm,
you have all
right.
these memories? Like, I guess it would kind of like be kind of like waking up comatose, with no memory. That's kind of, you would,
The
I would
closest,
expect to
yeah.
scream, be like, what the hell is going
The
on?
hell, yeah.
Yeah. Where am I?
Yeah.
What is this? Why am I hanging from the ceiling?
But that's enough. But it also speaks to another, like how she didn't just turn on like a robot. We would think like going back. Like she didn't turn on like R2D2, right? She
Yeah.
turned on like a full like person. Like what
Fully
the hell is
aware.
going on?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I,
Fully
and I love
aware.
I
functioning.
love the emotion she was giving when she was strapped on and didn't have legs yet, and she's like,
Mhm.
can't move. Where are my legs? Like she was the awareness of
Yes.
her consciousness was astonishing,
Yes.
and it was
Mhm.
very reminiscent to. This story was very reminiscent to Isaac Asimov. Is one of my favorite all-time
Mhm.
writers. He wrote the Robot series books.
Mhm.
And he wrote the three laws of robotics, and he gave such emotion cl- without letting you know. You kind of just knew, oh, there's sentience happening here, and I
Mhm.
Mhm.
got that feeling from what he was doing, was that he was trying to create this robot that was projecting these sentient feelings, but
Mhm.
he wasn't truly acknowledging that at the same time. And it's like,
Mhm.
Well,
I wonder, did he understand the level of his creation?
like my thought was is that he took his wife's personality and grafted her onto these robots, and then but didn't fully bring her whole personality over and dump her in there. Just grafted a
Hmm.
copy to see if it would work without giving up the integrity of the original. Keep the original on the hard drive, and we'll make a copy and use the copy in case something happens. Then we don't lose her. Which as a scientist, and in techno, blah blah blah. That's a good idea. I always have a
Yeah.
backup. But not realizing that without bringing her fully and just a copy of her personality and grafting it onto these robots, that is creating a new entity, not just another version of her. It is something new.
Right.
and
Hmm.
and you can tell by like the way that the machines and the AI, that the infrastructure that he made for them, like J1 stopped at age 5, and
Mhm.
J2 was 15 or 16, and then this one was a fully functional
Adult.
adult,
Hmm.
and with all the thoughts and memories, and but not full memories, because I mean she had those flashes. Like, how creepy was it when she was standing over the bed like fantasizing about him?
Mhm.
Yes. Oh my
But
gosh,
then,
it was
but then
And then she
that
climbed in the bed in her silk pajamas, and he's like, "Get out!" And
right, like that was just so confusing. Also, it's like, what are you trying to do? Why are you freaking out because she's in the bed with you? Like, isn't
because
this
that's what
like
you
what's the
want.
end point?
I
Yeah,
thought that's what he wanted, but she
and
she
then
wasn't.
and
Yeah,
then
I was just like,
there was also a moment, I can't remember how she put it, but there was also a moment where it was kind of like, I'm not her. There was this whole I'm not her
yes, like
moment.
she's an individual.
yeah,
Right.
That was
Like
creepy.
you're trying to
yeah.
create something that I am not. And that's when I was just like, oh, this man has no clue what he's doing.
Well, and then
None
I
whatsoever.
thought she acknowledged too. Part of that was that she acknowledged and she vocalized that to him, that I am not her and I will never be her, but I am close. But then, I think she was trying to let him know, where J2 wasn't able to let him know, that when he grafted the original personality and like brought his wife over and dumped her into the robot, that her sense of self would be obliterated. And I think she was trying to advocate for herself by saying that, like,
Yeah.
Mm.
okay, but are you gonna, can you, pull me out and then put her in? so that I can still be here, or put me in another robot. And he's like,
Yeah,
no,
Mhm.
we're just gonna graft her right over top of you. And so,
that's
so what
right.
about me? And
Don't piss off a woman, even if she's a
yeah,
robot.
right.
The lesson is, I mean,
Absolutely.
she
I
really,
mean, she did a
really
phenomenal
wanted to
performance.
be. She did a phenomenal job. Like, I didn't realize until I did the research, it's the same person's voice that
For,
did J2 and J3. The fact that there's these little tiny
well,
nuances that are different is amazing.
and
Mhm.
she's the wife too, isn't she?
Yeah, she
Yes.
plays the wife as well in the movie.
So yeah, but to like, I didn't realize that they were all the same person at first. But I mean, that
Neither did
makes
I.
sense because he's copying, pasting, from
Hmm.
Mhm.
from the original to A, B, and C. And
Yeah,
so
Mhm.
that makes sense that there would all be her. But
Mhm.
they also had different personalities, and they spoke differently, different inflections, different emotions behind the voice. So they didn't seem like carbon copies because they were different entities. I don't,
and
they're
I
not
think
really
that
people, but they're different entities.
in their own
Yeah.
way, they're trying to protect him. And I think we
Yeah.
see that as the movie progresses. And let's
Hmm.
go to him. Like Theo James as George Almore, he was fantastic in this movie. He was really truly uh amazing. Like
Hmm.
he made me want to go, oh, hello, open your eyes, focus, because he
Hmm.
wasn't aware of how sentient and how real emotions and how much they were trying to protect him.
Well, and
And
how
Mhm.
much progress he'd
yeah,
made, and
Mhm.
he had such singular focus on the end goal, and not paying attention to the leaps and strides that he was making on the way there. He's just like,
exactly.
because that
But
didn't
I
play
think,
into his end goal.
but
Go
I
Go
think
ahead.
on
ahead.
some level he did know that, but and that which is why he was keeping it secret every time they made those phone calls to check in. He
Yeah.
kept he was keeping what he was doing secret. They didn't know he got as far as he did.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't exactly
He was
Supposed
supposed
to
to
be
be
doing
working on
what
a
he was
he
project
doing.
for them,
was
but he
still
didn't
a
tell him what he
trick
was
what he was
doing.
Right,
doing.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Well,
I
and
mean,
then
but there, so, okay, so let's talk about that. The love this man had for his wife was so intense that he was willing to risk everything he was being given as a scientist. A scientific dream was to work
yeah.
in a facility like this all on your own, hyper focus on your creation, on your
Hmm.
scientific discovery, willing to risk it to bring back his wife's consciousness into an AI.
Hmm.
That's deep. And I think that that might have been the reason he couldn't see what was right in front of him.
But my
Because
question
yeah,
would
because he
be,
was focused. Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. My question would be, at what point did this start? I believe it started as a project of love to bring his wife back, but then at what point does it become no longer about the love you have for her, and it's just twisted into this like
Exactly.
one-minded, one lane,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna stop
Hmm.
till I do this, to the point that it no longer becomes about your wife, because you have two different entities at two different points in this journey you're doing, this work that you're doing,
Better
telling you
versions of
like
her.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm not her.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
let's talk about his journey because his journey was not quite what we thought in the beginning. In the beginning of the
Hmm.
movie, we see this a man trying to bring back his dead wife's consciousness into an AI.
Yeah.
But Nicole and I did say what?
Hmm.
And I said,
Yeah. That
I
was me
have no
too.
idea what Sarah's doing, but she'd have messed my mind up. That's what I said to her, and I'm gonna say
Well,
it to you. Sarah,
I
talk to
didn't.
me about this.
It blew me away because usually, part of my mental health or whatever is I can usually see things coming. I did not see that coming until it
Not
was
at
like
all.
right until that last phone call, and she says, "Don't answer the phone. Don't pick
Mhm.
up the phone." And I'm like, "Oh no!" No, I mean, and if I go back and watch it again, I could probably see the clues, like when they cut to they had those scenes where they cut to like the circuitry and the hardware, like just running,
Yes.
and I'm
Yes.
like, oh my
So
God, that
what's
was the
interesting is when Nicole and I were watching it together, she pauses, she goes, "Why is that baby a toddler?" And I'm like, "Well, it's consciousness that maybe grew." Like I still hadn't realized that this was a twist. I really thought,
um
well, she's dead. The baby died in utero when she died, but maybe she's in heaven and there's a consciousness there. Like I was trying to explain it away, and she looked at me like, "No, that's not it. Like
that's not
that's
it.
not it."
Well,
And I'm like,
and she was pregnant at the time of the crash.
hmm,
And so that means that he'd been in the box, like they kept him alive, like alive. I mean,
consciousness
kind of
alive.
conscious,
Hmm.
kept his consciousness firing for like what 5 years, and then as it
Mm-hmm.
fades, because you can. I mean, looking at the archive box. I mean, and she had told him, that was one of the conversations they flashed back to. That she said she didn't want to be in one of those because it was free. It came free with his job, but he didn't
Yeah,
want to be in, or she didn't want to be in it.
I just
So
figured
when
he did it
so
on his own or
I
something.
thought that he just went against her wishes and did it anyways. Was the
Exactly.
first that was another thing, like, of course he did. But that I mean, it's an interesting concept. But then, where does the consent come in there? Like, if they, that it comes back to that, I didn't know this movie was going to be about the my body, my choice thing, but here we are.
Here we are.
But I mean, I really didn't know that's what I had no idea that that's what this movie was going to end up
And
being about. But that's
here's the thing. Not only did I thought he violated her wishes, but when they kept saying, when he kept telling the lady, listen, I can get her calls when she calls me, but I can't call her. There's something going on. It never occurred to me
me
that
neither.
he
I
was
just
the
thought,
one in the box.
well,
It is
I just thought maybe, like maybe there was something wrong with the box because he did open it and tamper with it. So maybe there was something wrong because when they came to do the inspection, they said the seals have been broken. Have you been in it? And he's like, no. Why? I don't know what you're talking about. And yeah, so I mean, which obviously he was because he downloaded a copy of her,
Exactly.
um,
right.
and then grew the personalities in the computer, that became the J1, J2, and J3. But like I didn't know until he was, he's standing there, he's talking to her, and she's like, "Well, this is the last time I'm going to be able to talk to you," and and the tear came to his eye, and I'm like, "Oh, oh no, no, they
So
didn't. Oh no, they didn't." I'm like, "Oh,
so I
I was
got it.
so."
That's when I got it. That's when I got it.
It was a sucker punch because I did not see it coming. And I mean,
Hmm.
I guess probably if you go back and you watch it again, you can catch that because like when the facility was under attack and they open the door and then nobody's there, like,
Hmm.
Right.
Nicole, you wanted
and
to say something?
go ahead.
So no,
Sorry, Nicole.
what I was saying was that, like I was starting to piece it together, like Nita said, with the child. So when Nita and I watch these movies for the show, we don't talk about it because we try
You
not to
save
talk
it,
about
yeah.
it. But that one I just could not. I paused it. I was like, why is that child so old? Because it just did not it makes sense to me. And that's when she said she threw out that BS explanation. I'm like, no, I don't
No,
know about that.
because he'd been in the box for 4 years or
But
whatever.
then the other one, but then
Yeah.
the other one was one of the flashbacks because they flashed back to the accident a couple of times, and one of the last times they flashed back, they zoomed in on his face, and there was something about it that I just said, Mmm, this isn't what it seems to be.
Yeah, one
But
of,
how
and he kept
surprised
waking
were
up.
you? How surprised were you of the ending? Like, at
Oh,
what level?
uh, 10 being like shocked I didn't see that coming at all. I was like a 8. Like
Wow.
a 8 or a 9.
How about you, Sarah?
Yeah, 9 or a 10 because I really didn't see it
Me
coming,
too.
and like
Me too.
Yeah.
it
10.
wasn't until that and all and the AIs were really it was really his mind trying to protect himself, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's like, oh, what?
And it made
Oh,
sense now the behavior of J2 and J3. It
yeah,
was all about protecting him from knowing this
yeah,
Mhm.
information. Because
and, yeah,
while
and
he's
keeping
in
him
there,
from
not
realizing,
knowing is important. Not knowing keeps him his conscience strong and
Yes.
going on.
and
And
working on the project
until,
or
yeah,
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ex-
Yes.
because the project, I think that was just they added that in just to keep him busy. I
well, I
don't
think
think
I
there was
think
a
that was a
real
continue. Oh no,
project.
because that's where they were going. They were
They
discussing
were
it in
gonna
the
go
car.
there, yes.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
discussing him taking the
Mm-hmm.
job on the way,
Right.
when they got in that accident, and that she said,
Mm-hmm.
well, the AI, why do we have this car? The AI can drive it because it's like I think it was like a Tesla, like a self-driving car, but like you
Yes.
could opt to drive it, and he was
Mhm.
driving it,
Mhm.
and then that, and there, I mean, there from the flashbacks to the accident, there was no way he could have avoided that accident because I
No,
mean
it
that
was
car
coming
came
at
flying over
him.
it
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
Yeah.
over the center median right at them, and and like Nicole said, when you see the scars on his face and like they were very deep, and it was just
Mhm.
like, how did he survive that? Oh
That's
Mhm.
well,
what
he
I
didn't.
thought. I kept thinking throughout the whole movie, how is it that she dies and all he gets is these scars on his face? Because considering that she's dead, that's really minimal, the scars on his face. As deep as they
Yeah,
were, just and they were both in the front seat. That car
yeah,
came at them and hit the front shield,
yeah,
and bounced off of it. There was
yeah,
no way in my mind that anyone can survive it to the point where he's jogging in the woods. Like that, you should
yeah,
be in a
Mhm.
wheelchair and in a ventilator
yeah.
for your life.
Mhm.
You
Yeah, and
know?
he was running all the time. He'd go out and run, and he'd climb
Yeah.
the towers, and he'd be looking through the scope and looking around at stuff, and like, oh, I thought I
Mhm.
heard something, and it's like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and now if I go back and watch it again, I mean, because I just finished it like at 6 o'clock tonight, so I think if I went back and watched it again, I think maybe we'd be able to see the context clues and stuff. But watching it for the
Oh
first
yeah.
time, it was very much a what the fuck.
Yes.
Oh hell
Okay,
Yes.
no, they
so
didn't.
Oh yes.
I have a final question before we move on to our next segment. Nicole, 1 to 5, 1 being terrible, 5 being awesome. How would you rate this movie?
Oh, 5. Yeah.
I would give it a 5 also. How about you, Sarah?
I liked it. I was worried that it was going to be like a cheap knockoff of the Keanu Reeves movie Replicant
Yes,
or
me too.
whatever. I think that's what it was called. But when he was trying to bring his family back as robots,
Hmm.
the same
It's
kind of
replicate.
principle.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it was like
So from 1 to 5, what are
a
you gonna
five.
rate it?
I
We
was
are
a five
all in
because
agreement. This movie was
I was
Yes.
definitely five
broadsided by
stars.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely. This movie was completely a 5-star movie. If you have not watched this movie, it's on Amazon Prime. It is
Yeah.
fantastic. It's called Archive. It is an amazing movie. Total recommend in sci-fi this movie. It really kept a sci-fi theme in this.
Hmm.
And it's so interesting because it really touches on issues of AI that we're facing today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I thought that that was pretty fantastic.
Hmm.
You know, but we're gonna move forward because we need to bring you a new scientist.
Are you
Take
ready?
it away, Sarah.
Okay. So this week I have Cynthia Breezal. Cynthia has been interested in robots ever since she saw the robotic characters in the movie Star Wars as a kid. As the daughter of two scientists, she had early access to the fields of computer science and engineering. Under the guidance of her parents, Breezal earned a Bachelor's of Science in Electrical and Computer Engineering from University of California in 1989, her master's in 1993, and her doctorate in 2000 in electrical engineering and computer science, both from MIT. After watching a NASA robot, she decided to switch her focus to social robotics, excuse me. While working toward a doctoral degree, which she earned at MIT, Friesel helped develop Cog, a robot with physical capabilities similar to a young child. However, she soon began to focus on how to promote better social interactions between people and robots. This led her develop Kismet, her first social robot, which she designed to recognize and express human emotions, which kind of takes us down where we were. Kismet, Cog, and the insect-like robot Hannibal, all robots Friesel co-developed while a graduate student at MIT, can be seen at the MIT Museum. In the early 2000s, she worked on Leonard, Ada, Autumn, and Huggable. And Huggable was designed to resemble a teddy bear to help doctors and nurses interact with children. Throughout her career, Friesel has had the idea of making robots available to the average person. In 2012, Friesel founded Jibo, a social robotics company named after its flagship product. Jibo could see in two high-res cameras, which allowed it to recognize and fast-track. That's what's right there on that table next to her is the Jibo robot. Um, it was which it allowed to recognize and track faces, take pictures, and enable video calling. It also would be like it was a kind of like an Alexa, or one of those robots that it managed your calendar, could order stuff like that. She served as the chief scientist until the company closed in 2018. Friesel published the book Designing Sociable Robots in 2002, as well as she's written numerous journal articles on robotics and AI. She's won numerous awards for her work in both robotics design and robotics engineering. She is a pioneer of social robotics and human robot interaction. Her work balances technical innovation in AI, UX design, and understanding the physical and psychology, excuse me, of engagement to design personified AI technologies that promote human flourishing and personal growth, like our robots tonight. Uh, Her recent work focuses on the theme of living with AI and understanding the long-term impact of social robots that can build relationships and provide personalized support as helpful companions in daily life. Her research group actively investigates social robots and applied to education, pediatrics, health and wellness, and aging. As part of this mission, her group also develops design justice framework for human robot interactions and inclusive AI literacy education for underserved K-12 students. Just last month, in October 2024, Mass Robotics, a robotics innovation organization, announced that Dr. Cynthia Breezel as the 2024 recipient of the Robotics Medal. The organization said Breezel won for her significant contributions to the field of robotics, notably for her work in the field of social robotics and human-robot interactions. The award is sponsored by Amazon Robotics and included a $50,000 prize.
Wow. And that is for social media. If you want to
Hmm.
follow her on X, formerly known as Twitter, she is an amazing scientist.
Hmm. I
Absolutely
think we'll still see
amazing.
more from her, and I think
Oh, yeah.
she's. I didn't realize when I picked her that she was going to be as good of a fit for tonight's episode as she is, but she actually is monitoring the psychology between the robots and the AI and learning and the learning and the interaction between people. So
Sounds
like
like
if she
iRobot from Isaac Asimov.
so when she was if she had been involved in our movie, it probably wouldn't have happened the way it happened.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Here's yet another innovation and invention and technology influenced by science fiction. Because
Hmm.
what she's doing is exactly what Isaac Asimov wrote in his books.
Yep.
Mhm.
The interaction between humans and robots and how they think and perceive and process thought and it, sci-fi is all things. Sci-fi it
Yep.
rocks. I don't care.
Yep.
Anybody say it rocks. You don't have the world we have today without it. We really don't.
Yep.
No,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, the influence is amazing. But we are
Mhm.
going to go to the next segment. All right. This is going to be an bittersweet review because it is the last book of the Parallax trilogy. I had such a hard time finishing this book because I didn't want it to end. Before we start the review, I have a question for Matt and Lauren, the authors of this book. What you trying to do to me? You're making me all emotional. Stop it.
Emotional damage.
They're causing emotional damage by creating a final chapter. Okay? This is not cool. And I said it once, I said it twice, and I'm going to say it a third time. This should be a TV series. This trilogy should be a television series. It is that high quality writing. Okay, and let's go into the review. Evolution is the third book of in the Parallax trilogy, written by Matt Conant and Lauren Sapolo. I'm sorry, Matt. I know I always mess up your last name. Forgive me, my love. I'm telling you, this should be a television series. It is so good. The character writings, you see the development from the first book all the way to the third, and you see the growth, you see the storylines being kind of bringing that closure that storylines need, and it is not easy to keep a momentum going because I'm big with trilogies. I read a lot of trilogies. I love them. I love series,
Mhm.
and it is not easy to continue the momentum from book one to two and three and so on. It really is difficult to keep people engaged, and they have accomplished this. They have given closure and they have given you surprise, and they give you this sense of awe in this last book. And to be honest, they kind of leave you hungry for more. And that's why I think this needs to be picked up by television. I'm going to put it out there into the world because it needs to be
Mhm.
in time. This is anyone who's ever watched the sci-fi TV show, and I compare it to this a lot, because I think that it really is that level of good, and it always. I always draw a blank on the TV show that I'm talking about. I love this series. And it is so good. I could see the character development in the show, in this book. You see
Mhm.
it. You see it when you read these characters. You fall in love with them. You hate them. uh,
Mhm.
you go, oh no, not that. Oh, what's the twist here? And it keeps you
Mhm.
going and guessing what's gonna happen next. And Nicola's much better at guessing what's gonna happen than I am. So for me, not to be able to get a full picture in my head of what's next in this book, it's actually a good thing because I love the surprise when I'm reading.
Mhm.
I love the surprise of continuing to see that character development going on. And this is the most amazing trilogy that I have ever read. Extremely well written, very personal characters, very relatable characters, very likable characters. And the ones you don't like, they're meant for you not to like them. These, Matt and Lauren have created something very special here. Okay. Oh, I remember The Expanse. This book reminds me of The Expanse. The Expanse was a phenomenal and quite underrated show. It could have gone
Yeah.
on more than 5 seasons. But I can definitely see these three books being turned into a phenomenal television show with at least 6 or 7 seasons, even movie deals. Yeah, I'm gonna say that absolutely. This
Mhm.
has, in I won't say potential. This is fantastic.
Mhm.
These books are fantastic, and if I had any level of imagination, I would want to cosplay half these characters. But I'm terrible at visualizing outfits and stuff like that. So I probably do a terrible job at it. So I need the TV series so that I can see what the outfits look like, right? So
But
that I
that's a great
can
thing
cosplay
about a
them.
book is whatever you think about.
But I'm
Right?
terrible. My imagination is not good enough for that. But this needs to be picked up. Truly, it is a phenomenal book, a phenomenal series. I can't wait for them to collaborate again on something else. I'm definitely going to be following Matt and Lauren. You can follow authors on that, especially if you buy their books on Amazon. You can follow them on Amazon.
Follow them.
You could put their reviews on there. There's several different places in social medias that you could put your reviews, and that really does help books get noticed, books get elevated.
And when you
This is a
follow
phenomenal book.
authors,
Absolutely.
Amazon lets you know that they've got new stuff coming out.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll let you know if you follow them on Amazon. It will tell you what their next books are. When is it coming out? You can pre-order. These guys are phenomenal. I love their books. They write separately as well as together. So I'm gonna start looking into their separate books. But I'm in love with them together. I want them to continue to collaborate together and bring me some more emotionally damaging books that is going to tear me
Emotional
apart.
damage.
There was another book that I actually read. It was called
Mhm.
Tuesday with Maury. It's not a sci-fi, but when I got to the last chapter in the book, I actually put the book down and did not read it for like 2 months because I knew from the very beginning that the main character would die, and I knew that he would die in that last chapter. And I
Yes,
was
people
so in
are.
love with his writing and how he presented, and this was a real person. So it made it even more emotional for me. I didn't want to let him go. I absolutely did not want to let him go. And this is how I
I
felt
love that.
about evolution. I had a hard time letting go of these characters, and I think
Mhm.
that that's a huge accomplishment for a
Mhm.
writer, that people love the characters they write, because it means that their vision and their dream was able to be conveyed in the writing. Guys, read the Parallax trilogy, read these books. They're phenomenal. And you know what? Let me know what you thought of the book as well. Send us a message. We absolutely read all of them and respond to them. This is absolutely my favorite series thus far. For 2024, this trilogy is my favorite sci-fi trilogy. Okay. It is absolutely phenomenal. But we're going to move on now to our next segment. All right. This is one of my favorite segments because I get to highlight other podcasts, and it really just brings me a lot of joy to highlight other podcasts. Hailing Frequencies Open, a Star Trek podcast. They are so witty. They do all things Star Trek and the culture of Star Trek, and they're a phenomenal trio who bring a lot of fun with their podcast. Go follow them on YouTube. Go follow them and listen to their podcast. If you are a Trekkie, you're gonna want to listen to these guys. They're really fantastic. And Trek Through Trek is a not necessarily a podcast, but it is a father and son's journey through Star Trek. A father
Mhm.
introducing his son to Star Trek who's never seen Star Trek. And they have such good chemistry, guys. Go follow them and check them out. And just seeing someone get elated about Star Trek and asking questions and wanting
Mhm.
to learn really just warms my heart for sure. Now, I have a new one for you guys.
Mm.
Treknicity, a Star Trek
Mm.
podcast, another Star Trek podcast. They do really deep dives in all things Star Trek, especially the episodes. They do a phenomenal job as well. You listen, guys, there is plenty of room in the podcast family for so many Star Trek podcasts, for so
Mhm.
many different types of sci-fi podcasts, for women empowering podcasts. Definitely, it's it's there, and I say we need to highlight them and let people know about it. And I think it's important to make podcast friends. We are a small community, even though there's many of us. So before we go tonight, just wanted to ask Nicole, is there anything that you wanted to share last minute?
Nope, just as always, had a wonderful time being here with you guys. Thank you for having me. I look forward to the next movie.
She is biologically obligated to say that because she's my cousin. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, since I'm forced to tell the truth now,
No, watch out now.
Well,
Sarah,
thank you.
anything you want
Thank
to
you for
share before we go?
thank you, Nicole, for watching another one of my movies again, and
always.
and giving us the non sci-fi nerd opinion on it.
Yes.
As a non sci-fi, I didn't ask you earlier, but as a non sci-fi person, did you? I mean, I know you liked the movie, but like, was it too much sci-fi, or was it
Oh no,
okay?
I
And
got all into the science of it too. Like it wasn't just for me, it wasn't just the emotional part, but even though that's what I tapped into first. But yeah, I was
yeah,
all into like how did he take her and her
her
legs
legs, yeah,
and do they
yeah.
even fit? Like are they compatible? Like I remember even thinking like, are they even gonna be compatible? Like it makes no sense.
So, so it was okay. I was worried. I mean, technically, like, so anybody could watch this movie. It doesn't have to be just
Oh, absolutely.
sci-fi nerds. I thought
Absolutely.
I appreciate you give us a straight opinion on it, and
Absolutely.
thank you for watching another one of my picks.
Always, always. It's my pleasure. I love it.
And just so that everybody will know, our next episode will be on November 22nd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be talking about all things Alien movie franchise review. We are going to review it.
I'm
We're
so
going to break
excited.
it down. I am excited. I love this scary dude right here so much. So join us on November 22nd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun. But we want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Nicole and Sarah. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our new channel so that you can get notified when new videos come up. Thank you for watching our show.